Coaches, let's take a look at the third advanced route, what we call a fade stop. And it is, in my opinion, the very most difficult of the fade routes, the throw. It gives you the best opportunity of beating a variety of coverages and allows you to have a way that if people are trying to force you to throw only the fade by playing hard inside leverage man and trying to take away the drive route, that you have a chance that gives you a little bit better, higher percentage of completion with not only just having to drop back and throw a fade. So the fade stop to us is a timing route, and I'll start out with Michael. And the hard thing about the fade stop, in my opinion, coaches, is practicing it versus air. I think you almost always have to throw it against a defender. So even though we're going to intro you today versus air, coaches, and try to talk a little bit about how you teach that fade stop, the best way to coach it is complete repetition, repetition, repetition versus coverage. First of all, we do not run the fade stop against cover two. We do not run the fade stop against quarters, but we will run it against any kind of man coverage, whether it's press. We'll run it against two-man, man underneath, half-field safeties, and we will run it against cover three if we're getting a variation where they're bailing on us and doing those kind of things. Now, my preference in the fade stop, as you'll see as we go along, is based on the difficulty, coaches, of the timing that's involved in the fade stop. We initially teach the fade stop when we work it versus air, which I don't like, is to have the ball delivered at 7 yards, slightly behind the receiver. So what Michael does is he runs what we call a bad release fade. That is, he's going to take an outside radical and he's going to work up the field where he's gaining too much width for us in our fade. But anyhow, in the fade stop, he gains width initially. He starts driving up the field, and at about 5 to 6 yards, he peeks over his inside shoulder like the fade is going to be thrown over the top. At 7 yards, he plants his outside foot, in this case going to his left foot, and reels back down the stem to catch the ball out. Michael will demonstrate this route to you a couple times. It'll look pretty good versus air, and the hard part is it's a timing mechanism between the quarterback and receiver. Fade stop versus cover three, Michael. Set, hut. Right there it is. One more time. You can see the footwork is essential. You've almost got to do what I call reel, plant the upfield foot, and then almost kind of pivot and work back down so the quarterback has a location. Set, hut, push up, good, right there. Now, it also could happen sometimes that the defender is tight as heck, and as Michael pushes up, maybe sometimes he has to push up even farther to get him running. Right there. It all depends on what you've done against the press man. Coach B.A., you want to grab a ball? Let's see if we can throw a couple fade stops. Come right off the hash mark, be right in the numbers, Michael. Try to make the break like it's loose three. Set, hut, push, look, up and back. Good. The perfect world, coaches. When the receiver looks, that's when he delivers the ball. So he starts to look, plants, and the ball and the timing respond just about the same. Very difficult catches, coaches. Great route in red zone. Set, hut, push, ball out of hand, react back. We'd like to actually tell our quarterback the ball should be at 5 yards where he catches it, so he works away from the receiver. It's one of the hard parts about doing it versus air. Let's give us another one on set, hut. Set, hut, push, low and away. Okay. All right. Again, let me talk about, fellas, the variation of the fade stop I think is the best. It's called ear hole, and it's signaled by our receiver to our quarterback by simply putting his finger to his ear hole. And it's when we got a guy that's pressed on us, and it's probably about the 18-yard line in. And Coach can just step aside and I'll show what I want you to play. So Michael gets up to the line of scrimmage, and we got a guy as he releases that's really a dang good athlete who's playing this technique right here, and God, he's been coached well. He's been coached well that when the receiver looks, he looks. When the hands go up, he strips, and he's fast. How do you defeat this process? Well, every one of you guys, like me, says, let's throw the fade. Oh my God in heaven, how many of those do you complete? Not very many. Our fade stop variation versus that press man's what we call ear hole. And that is that the quarterback throws the ball right at the back ear hole of the defender, and the receiver doesn't look to the ball, gets there right at the end, and he flips it up and makes a thumbs together, two back catch right on the back ear hole so the receiver can't see it. We're going to try to do that. Let's back up 5 yards. Mike, you want to play him on press man, please? And we'll do our best. Ear hole. Throw it at about the 7-yard line. Low number 1 trajectory. Set, hut, press, ear hole. That ain't bad. We'll do it again. That's the ear hole. The dead zone of the defender. The dead zone of the defender. Defender cannot see the ball. Set, hut, strikes up, makes him turn his head. Beautiful, not bad at all. We call that, it actually comes off our fade, and our receiver just makes that slight adjustment by putting ear hole. It is a great repertoire to have in your goal line or your red zone package.